expect your tools will strike at the right moment. So sometimes you'll feel a bit of intuition about a certain situation. You don't necessarily have all the information, but you'll make a decision because you have a lot of experience and it's something that speaks to you. Say, actually, this doesn't feel right.
When curveballs come in, you've got to be able to pivot and make those changes and keep, I buy into your analogy, keep flowing and keep going with stuff.
I tend to personally try and deal with things as best I can with the information I have to me. And if that works, happy days. That's the right thing to do. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Inspiration Nation, hello. Lee Kemp here for another week on a podcast. As always, with my very good friends, Jose Noya and Griffey Boniface. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Very good, Lee. Very good.
So I say sometimes you nod and you don't say anything, and I'm thinking, Joe, we're doing a podcast. People need to hear what you're saying. So it's good.
See,
we thank everyone for joining us once again this week. We are, of course, on Twitch. We are live streaming on Instagram as well. 8:30 GMT. That is right, isn't it? Yes. And 3:30 if you're out in the States, Eastern Time. Twitch and Instagram each and every Tuesday. Also on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Thank you, everyone. I garbled my way through that. Something chronic, didn't I? Everyone knows what I'm talking about, though. It's all good. Follow us on social media at ListenToIN, ListenToIN. And, of course, Joe is Jose Noya, InspirationNation, across every platform known to man. So,
known to man.
What is the topic of inspiration this week, Joe?
Well, I'll just say I was quite impressed and how you did that the different time zones, Lee. Very impressed about the 3:30.
Look at that! I can remember 2 different times at once. I'm a genius. We do have a good following out in the good old US of A, so we thank everyone out there. So if you want to catch us on the live, again, 8:30 every Tuesday, 3:30 your time, just jump on. Sorry, go on, Joe. Carry on. I'm done. I'm done shooting now.
You know there are 2 time zones in America, yeah?
There's 3, but I'm going by Eastern because that's a good one to do.
Sure.
And I don't want to list them all out.
Sure.
There's 3, Ryan. Get it right.
Okay. All right. You made it sound like there's only 1. I thought there was 2, so lesson learned.
Oh, lovely. So I just want to welcome Stewie247 just came on there. Also Tab, chemical expert on there as well. Yes, this is a podcast.
Give a little wave to everyone.
I would, Lee. Fantastic. So what we could talk about this week, we are going to be like water. That's what we're going to be like. So I'm talking about adaptability, really. So this came to me really when I was watching a Bruce Lee Netflix series and how he developed a martial arts style which would be adaptable. Look who's joined. Love that. Be adaptable to every way of fighting. So he basically sort of got his martial arts style, just studied all different types of martial arts and recognised that actually he had to adapt to whatever situation was going on in martial arts. And I think it's a great concept to adapt to, be like water, to self-development. So we're going through challenges, going through difficult things, we need to adapt. And so, I'd like us to talk a little bit about that. And before we do that, I just wanted to go through something that I have been exposed to. I've known it for quite a long time, but it's called the Kolb cycle. And if you look it up on the internet, in fact, there is a website. I'll give them a little shout out. Quite like the website actually. It's called simplypsychology.org. If you go over there, it will tell you, or you type in Kolb learning cycle, it will tell you in there. But it's really, really good website. It talks about a cycle of concrete experience is the first thing. Then you have reflection, observation. Then you have abstract conceptualization, which is your thinking, and then you do the actual action. So it's the experience, it's the reflection, it's the plan, and then you take action. And it's a cycle. And then you take action, you get an experience, and then you go through the cycle. And that's, for me, is where I think you get your adaptability, your being like water. And in fact, I think, as a trio here, InspirationNation, I think we've done this quite a lot when we think about all the things we've done and all the things we've done. In fact, we just had Twitch over the last couple of weeks. And so this is something we do. And so I think this has taught us a lot in terms of adapting. Oh, hi, Danny. How are you doing? So Danny just joined us.
Hello, Danny. Glad to see you joining on.
Fantastic to see Danny on. Brilliant. So yeah, so feel free to ask questions on the lives, or whether you're on Twitch, whether you're on Instagram, ask questions, and we will do that. But that's really what it is. So I just want to ask you guys. So how have you adapted? Since you've been thinking about your own personal development, have you adapted recently? Is there any stories around adaptability? Being like water, right? Because water can fit into any container. It gets through anything that's got a gap in it. You don't think there's a gap, and is there a gap? It finds a way through. And so I just want to throw that out to you guys. What are your thoughts?
So is it a bit of an analogy for perseverance? Do you think that water
Can be,
thing,
yeah.
like it always, it always finds a way?
Well,
Which is why whenever you've got a leak in your house, it always comes back again.
Yeah, it's like you make a way, don't you? You make a way, and water will do, won't it? So that's why I love what Bruce Lee said about that. He said, "Be like water," and if you've done enough training, if you've done enough, learning, then he talks about your tools will strike at the right moment. So sometimes you'll feel a bit of intuition about a certain situation. You don't necessarily have all the information, but you'll make a decision because you have a lot of experience, and it's something that speaks to you. Say, actually, this doesn't feel right. You ever had that feeling, and actually you've gone against it, and something hasn't worked out, but you've made a decision based on intuition, it works out. So things like that. That's why I think that adaptability comes in, and being like water actually does hold that for you. And I think that's what I'm looking at. So what do you think, guys? What are your views? You were talking about perseverance, Lee, so I did talk.
No. It's good. I like it. And I like you said, everyone can see these metaphors in slightly different ways. And I do think, and it links together, I think perseverance and adaptability are two key things, because you've got to be comfortable that when curveballs come in, you've got to be able to pivot and make those changes and keep, I buy into your analogy, keep flowing and keep going with stuff, and be able to, if something isn't going to work, that you can change your approach and you can adapt it and you can look at a different way of doing things. I'm trying to think of a good example right now. I'm having one of those brain freeze moments, which I'm really frustrated with myself about.
Well, I love that piece, flowing and going, Lee. I love that.
Yeah.
Keep flowing and keep going. Keep going.
That's my contribution for this week, flowing and going.
That's like Bruce Lee. You've added to Bruce Lee's methodology there. Yeah, it's well great. Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Look at that. Anything from you, Ryan, whilst Lee's...
Whilst we're flowing and going?
Adaptability.
I don't think there's anything that I've kind of sat on and gone, I'm going to bank that for later. I think you just deal with situations as best you can with the knowledge you have. I don't think I've been in many situations, if any ever, where I've turned around and gone, I wish I had more experience in this. I just find somebody that does have more experience in that specific thing. I think it's I tend to personally try and deal with things as best I can with the information I have to me, and if that works, happy days. That's the right thing to do, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and I find out the right way to do it, and then I just learn from there. I don't tend to just bank the experience of things. I don't feel. I don't know about any of you.
Well, I like that, Ryan, because you're actually talking about what you do is you do the action, then you get experience, and then you go again, you try something different, you try and again, that's that cold learning cycle, right? We might be using it unconsciously, but that's the thing you're talking about. You gain experience, you learn from it, you pivot, you might go and find someone who's got information. That's pivoting, that's changing, that's trying to find some way through by doing different things, right? Because the more action you take, the more results you get. The more results you get, the more you pivot. The more you pivot, the more you improve. You sort of fail, you win. You fail, and you win. A bit like the competence model that we talk about, and constantly competent. All that sort of stuff links together, really, and that's what it brings together. So, Lee, you wanted to say something? I think I saw you.
Yeah, you saw my brain going. I just think, and again, I've got something to mention in a minute on this as well, which I suppose links in a bit. But what do you guys think of the importance of reflection in that? Because like you said, Ryan, you kind of push ahead and you do it. And I think an important thing in that cycle is every so often taking a step back and reflecting on what you've been through, what those changes are. To nick your phrase now, Ryan, to bank that learning in your head, kind of after the event. I find that's a really good bit of coaching. And when I do that with people, is on two fronts, is with people is to get them to talk through what they've been doing, but quite often that gets me to talk through what I've been doing as well. And I find that a really good way of cementing the lessons, I like to call it, where you look back and you suddenly realise, oh, I did this and I changed this, and that's something to add to my toolbox. I think it's important to do mostly because generally when you're someone who is pushing ahead and you're active and you've got a lot gone and you're doing things and you're forward facing, it's very easy to have a short memory and forget what things were like and what you've done. And I think this past year, 2020 in particular, is a great example of that with home working. If exactly 12 months ago, January 2020, I'd have proposed having a video meeting over Zoom with a load of people from work across the offices, I'd have been looked at like a lunatic. Why are we not doing it in the same place? Can't you just a call? The technology's not going to work. Why are we going to do this? Why is the business not creating this for me to do it? All that stuff, anyone who's worked in an office has heard for ages, and it just would have been shot down like I was some sort of lunatic. Now, I probably had 15 meetings over Zoom today without even thinking about it, scheduled and impromptu. And I say Zoom, video chat. Zoom's the one I use as a default. Some on Microsoft Teams, some on Zoom, me and my boss, we speak on Facebook Messenger all the time because that's the easiest one for us to use. And it's just completely intuitive. Not intuitive, it's natural now. Like it'd be crazy to do something different. But 12 months ago, that wouldn't have been the case. You know, we all worked in offices, there was comfort, there was infrastructure, all that was there. And, you know, I know you guys both as well, many people listening and watching who are in office working environments, as a lot of people will be, have had to adapt very quickly to working from home, creating workspaces at home, having meetings in different ways, communicating in different ways. Me, for one, I don't think anything's changed, as in I'm still able to do everything I was able to do within the office. There's not one thing I've been able to say I can't do that because I'm working from home, but it's actually needed adaptability from me and those around me to things that would have been seen as a bit crazy 12 months ago. And I think it's very easy to forget all we've been through. And that's just a work example. There's all the things around how shopping's changed, socializing with friends, family, all those parts of life that have changed dramatically in the last 12 months. And as a society, we've all had to do it. But actually, like there, I was struggling for an example of adaptability, and I don't think there could be a bigger example of it than the last year. But I think it's because it's become normal, it's very easy to forget.
It's really interesting to say that, because that's the thing I've written down before you said, I've got COVID-19 is the most massive. You can't think of anything. That is the thing, isn't it? Isn't it? And like you said, Lee, now you're a genius, right? Let's have a meeting. You're an absolute genius. And as you say, all businesses have invested in it now. So now it's that.
That's it.
We talked about it on the podcast. I don't think it's ever going to go back to all in the office now. It's all going to be like, there's going to be such a blend about it after all this is done. And as I say, I think there's going to be a blend. I think there's going to be a lot of cost saving because now we don't have the infrastructure offices and things like that. I think there's going to be a lot of savings to be made for businesses, as we talked about before. But I think there's a lot of personal change around. So a lot of personal adaptability here around this. We've changed. Think how we've changed. We've had to change, and you said this before, Lee. We're now doing this virtually. We've done it. We said it before. We're doing it virtually. We've now added Instagram, to try and bring more people in to sort of view what we're doing and stuff like that. So, we're adapting right now. We're being like water now to make that happen. And I think you can see people come behind. I think disguised. They've gone out.
Covering their faces quickly as they run behind InspirationNation Studios.
I had something pop up on my phone from this time a year ago. Can't remember if it was today or yesterday or the day before, where it was a recording session at your house, and the picture is of Lee swearing at my phone as I'm trying to set up a camera.
As if I would do such a thing.
Brilliant.
And he actually continued to do that until about 3 months ago when he adapted himself out of it.
I might still do it a little bit for you now and again, Ryan.
Try and catch me out.
Obviously not on our very PG podcast, obviously.
What are you up there, Lee? You're right. You're staring down at something.
Oh, so it's because and I know I'm doing it. It's because we're multi-platform now. So I've got my phone here and I'm keeping an eye on Instagram and Twitch. And it's quite funny. Again, 8:30 every Tuesday. Catch us here, UK time, Eastern time, United States, 3:30 in the afternoon. As Ryan says, other time zones are available. But because they're all on slightly different times because of system lags and stuff, we're moving, but there's like a delayed reaction across the screen. So I'm just keeping an eye on who's joining us on Instagram.
Yeah,
Another one there.
Yeah,
Sick Web, is that? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's good. And it's lovely. So welcome. Yeah, so it's just really thinking about, my cat's going crazy here. I think I've got more people turning up. So apologies. You're probably going to hear a lot of thumping around. The cat's going crazy.
This is real life, Joe. This is how we do it.
Around me. This is, again, so how we adapt, right? We're having a podcast. We're carrying on. There's things going about. People running past me, but that's good. We just carry on, right? But, for me, I mean, if we look at that cold cycle, it is about, you talk about reflection, didn't you? And that sort of struck me a little bit. Do we reflect enough? We've taken some action. We've got the results. And I think, we've had some hard times, all of us this year, right? We've got some challenges that we've had. But do you think, as a group here, and actually on lives as well, pop a question in the live, whether you think we reflect enough on the results, or do you think we just go, and just take action? What do you guys tend to do when you've had maybe not something that's not so great? We all got emotion, right? But
I just want to chip in very quickly to say, Joe, that while that water's flowing, when sometimes it settles for a while and it gets still, that's the time to look in and see your reflection in the water. There you go. I've added it all into the analogy.
I love that. That's some bad news when you did that. Just missed that, genius. Because
I don't think I can get any cheesier than that. Right. Anyway, Ryan, you say something sensible now.
I loved it.
It says the live video's ended, Joe.
Yeah, it just kicked out. I don't know why.
Yeah, no dramas.
I just restarted it.
I think 2019 me would spend too much time looking at reflection. Right. I think before I embarked on a journey is in terrible wording, but I started self-developing a bit more in 2020. I think I started to understand what I needed to improve in myself and what I wanted to improve about myself with the help of the people around me. And I think I went from, I don't know why, I don't remember it instinctively happening, but I one day went from, well, it must have happened, one day I switched from being reflective of things that I feel I should have got recognition for, to all of a sudden not really caring that much about the recognition, because that's not important. And it's more about putting my effort and time into pushing myself and other people forward.
I was going to say there, Ryan, when you said about 2019 do you think, because I think there's reflecting, or there is dwelling. That's probably not the right word. Well, which I think are two different things. So there can be the negative, like you said, why didn't I get that? Why didn't that work like that? Or there's the, how did that go? What did I learn from it? And I think there's two different distinctive things there. And I think the reflecting is always important. But again, and I think you're touching on, you can't do it so you're like 80% reflecting and 20% doing, or you'd never get anything done. You need to keep that in moderation and keep the balance the other way around. And I'll say that from a view that I completely do not reflect enough. And I talk about it a lot, and it's an important skill, but I have to consciously remind myself to do it. So it will happen through conversations with people, but not because I've planned it, almost by accident. And I do think it is something that I can just be what's next. And I probably do need to discipline myself to do a little bit more of that reflection.
I feel as though I've flipped that switch, if you were to call it 80-20 one way, to the other way now. Because, again, 2019 me, when I would have like monthly appraisals with my manager, it would always be like, well, I've done this, and this, and nobody said anything. And looking back on it, it's incredibly cringeworthy, to be honest. But when 2020 came about, I think partly it's because I had so much hit me in one go with, I got promoted at the start of 2020. We then started working from home, and I was heavily involved in that kind of project. Because everything happened in one short space of time. Didn't have the time to reflect on things because I was too busy being pulled away to do something else to actually sit there and go, oh, that was good. And then I think it then sunk into me that these things still feel as good, even though I'm not sitting here thinking to myself, cool, that was amazing. It's more, that was amazing, cool, well done. Now what's this? Cool, what's next? And then it wasn't until like August, September time where things started to hit kind of a level plateau in the year, if you like, where things started to level out a bit, that I was like, yeah, that was all right. That was cool. And I spent maybe 2-3 weeks like that. And then it was, okay, what's next? And then I kind of jumped back on it. And I like that. That doesn't mean to say maybe if 2021 is a really quiet year, the reflection to action may become a bit more in line, a bit more closer to where to a 50-50, which is not what I want. But I think the more you can keep your mind off these things, the less you'll think of them, so the better it'll be. So I keep trying to, I've noticed it in myself as well. I keep trying to get involved in things that will keep me not motivated, but keep me entertained, I think, is a way. Because I like having, for want of a better phrase, my fingers in a lot of pies with things. I like being involved in things. I like helping things. I like being involved in projects at work. I like being involved in projects outside of work with you guys. I like doing all this kind of thing because it keeps me from just living the same day. I mean, something different's going to happen. Something cool might happen, you know? So I think I definitely learned that about myself in terms of an adaptability question, if you like.
I think that's good. That's a good bit of, and that is there, ironically, a good bit of reflection on yourself in a discussion about not reflecting too much. And I think you're right. Like you said, the more time, it's that, you know, corny phrase, but, you know, idle hand to the devil's plaything. So you're sitting there with nothing to do but think. So it naturally happens. Whereas if you're, you know, keeping yourself occupied with things, pushing forward. And it's just that, like I said, I know I need to do that little bit of cementing my learning, but only a little bit. It's not, you know, don't want to go that other way, that's all I do there and think about what if and overanalyze things and everything like that, because that itself isn't a healthy place to be. So quite a lot of, that's a good, as I said, good adaptability conversation there. What about yourself, Joe, and adaptability and you being the water?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I think this whole podcast speaks volumes for it, right? We, you know, I think even people that we've had loads of people join on the, you know, on the live here. This is one of our adaptability things. I hope you guys are getting value from this. It's fantastic. And it's just really about how you, as I say, just start that. So we started this podcast from nothing. People, you know, people listening here, we've adapted through all the change, through COVID-19 and all this. So for me personally, I've changed my morning routine. I've had to adapt it. Sometimes things don't work. I mean, I had, you know, Millie and Ryan know that I had a bit of a personal thing going on. But I had to adapt around that to continue to make this happen. But it wasn't so full on. I had to dial things back. So I had to adapt everything and fit it in. Even now, things are coming in, you know, quite thick and fast. Just saying to Lee and Ryan that, you know, someone's asked me to be on an interview. So I now have to adapt through that and change things through that and pivot the week. So adaptability does do that. And I think you're right, Lee. I think it's around making sure that we don't overthink too much. We need to reflect, but we can't spend too much in that. You can be stuck in planning and reflecting. You don't take any action on it. So it's just really important to remember that all of you now that are listening on the live here, just remember that you might be going through a tough time right now. And this is just about what could you do to, you know, to lift that. Come on a podcast like this, ask a question, you know, think about what you could actually do to move yourself forward. And this is what we've been doing. We want to prove this through creation of podcast, creation of content, through the videos and everything like that. So for me, this has been a whole Be Like Water and You'll Win episode from the time we started this. So, you know, that's how I would look at it. And this is just like an experiment, really, in real time. We're probably facing the hardest thing in history, in my history, since I've grown up, which is the COVID-19. How can you pivot? How can you adapt to it? So if you can thrive right now, all you guys here on the lives, on Twitch or on Instagram, you are living probably one of the hardest times in our generation that we've lived in. This is going to be historical. And you're going to look back and you're going to say to all the people in your generation, what did you actually do? What did you actually do? You see all the people from there. What did you actually do? And you're going to be able to tell your people back. You're going to tell them, hey, this is what I did in that. This is what I did. And that's what we're talking about. So that's where I've been a little rant there, Lee. But I think there's a lot in that in terms of.
I like it. I like a good Joe rant. Also, can I just clarify, Joe? Can you not please lump me and Ryan in the same generation as you? Because there's quite an age gap going on there.
Oh, okay. What am I going to say then?
Lee's fair enough to be in the same group, but not me.
I was going to say, I'm trying to stretch that I'm lowering myself down to Ryan's youthful age bracket.
Look at that.
Rather than Joe's more distinguished and mature age bracket. No, that's good. I like it. And like you said, It's a mindset I'm going to consciously try and adopt over the next week about being like water.
I mean, it's comments on the chat.
Go on, what are we saying there?
Just put, the people running are awesome. People love it because the people running behind in the podcast.
It is the Noya family.
This is the live stuff happening right now. This is what we mean. We just got to do it. It's got to happen. And so that's the whole point, right? It's real. I've got the cat going crazy over here. Everything's going nuts. But anyway, we're adapting, right? We're adapting. We've got people behind me. You can probably hear them.
Sorry.
There you go.
Look at that. Actually spoke on the podcast, Joe. We're making progress.
No, it's, yeah. And I've got Donk Balls saying it's not scripted. We
100%.
We want to be real. We'll be authentic. What we do, and this is why we do the live as well, because we want to show you that we don't just. This is just we come on and talk about it and what the experiences are, and that's really what we're. And that's not being like water, right? That's what we're doing. And if you do that, and you do that enough, then you are going to win, because you're going to keep practicing, keep getting better every day, practicing, getting better. You'll have bad days, you'll have good days, you'll fail a lot, but it's getting back on it and just going for it, really. And just keep trying. That's the key.
Absolutely. Good in for a plug there, Joe, as well, because I'll say in the background there, guest appearance from, that was Megan, wasn't it, in the background? Megan Noya?
It was.
Yeah, if you go back in the archive, episode 12 of the podcast, you can hear our fantastic interview there. My encyclopedic knowledge of the podcast still going. And for it leads into another plug, which of course is, if you like what we're doing, if you want to support us at Inspiration Nation, head over to inspirationnation.org.uk. Not only are there details of Joe's fantastic coaching service with a free FREE 20-minute consultation, but there is also the Inspiration, well said by me, merchandise store where you can get all of our fantastic merch. Me and Joe supporting the hoodies today. I think, guys, we can all get a mug shot if we've gotten close. Inspiration Nation mugs over on the store. And Joe is going to be our glamorous model tonight. If you are on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, you can see it. And I'll describe for you on the podcast as well. The new Inspiration Nation face masks. Look at that. If you want to stay safe in this COVID world, why not do it with a bit of inspiration?
Get the podcast mask. Yeah. Get the podcast mask.
Do you think he looks a bit like the guy from Breaking Bad?
Which one? Oh my
yes.
God.
Bryan Cranston, when he's wearing like a mask.
Absolutely. If you could go and stand in the desert in your pants just wearing that and the mask, Joe, that would be a good advert, I think.
Oh, someone said, Don Paul said, when's the book coming out, Joe? Haha. Well, you never know. We might.
That's it. Walter White. Yes,
Walter
thank
White,
you.
that's it.
Yeah. We will add the book. We've been talking about a book on and off for years, actually, haven't we, Joe? So we'll have to get on that one day.
Oh, look, we've got love here. Anne's saying, I need the podcast mask, just like Joe. See, love for the mask already. So, guys, yeah, loving it.
We appreciate it massively. So, yes, inspirationnation.org.uk. I almost forgot we were doing a podcast there and just started chatting.
Got a bit less, didn't you?
We're doing good for time, but we're close to wrap up time. So, Joe, any closing thoughts on being like water and winning?
So I think if we just take this last bit, what's a couple of things that we could do? So one of the things you could do, I know one of the things I'm really passionate about, and Lee's now adopted almost this. He's gone from like a journal that he never used to have, and he's gone to a journal. Is get a journal, get some paper, write in it. So you could do Cold Cycle. What I'd do is number one. Go and look at that website. Go and look at Cold Cycle to reflect. So you can follow this podcast. You can actually put those into implementation. Get a journal, reflect on what your day has been like, and see what you can improve. At the end of your day, I want you to pick out. I want you to look at that. Lee's even got it on here. Look, put it up there. Great. At the end of your day, I want you to do a couple of things. I want you to think about one improvement you can make in your day. That's the number one thing I want you to do. One improvement you can make, and then I want you to pick out three things that went well that day. So one improvement in three things that went well that day, and I want you to plot it in your journal. So that's what I'd say to you is like, on this podcast, that's how you can have an experience. Okay, so it might be that it wasn't a great day, it was a terrible day. How are you going to reflect on that day? How are you going to start to take action to start to make that day better? Then make a plan. And I'd say the plan is going to be really straightforward. It might be that I'm just going to have something that's going to make me do something that's going to make me feel a bit better. Maybe it's picking up a phone to a friend. Maybe it's a FaceTime call. Something that's going to lift you up if it was a bad day. Right? Have some sort of plan. But I say 1 or 2 steps, not too many, because when you're starting this, you want to make the plan to be achievable. So you want to get some early wins, and then take action. Make sure you plot in the day, the time when you're actually going to do it. So even this week, I've been chatting to my daughter, and it's about making sure, because they were posting on social media. I mean, my daughter, she sings and stuff, and I wanted to make sure that she, make sure she's, gets promotion for the material. So saying, look, what you got to do is you've got to put a time, and you're going to post that video. And if you're going to post that video, put a time, because that'll commit you to it, and you'll make sure you follow through. That's okay, Will and Dry. Just join the party. It's fantastic. No worries. Don't apologise. It's great that you've joined us. So that's what I would say to you. Now, do that cold cycle. Put it in a journal, and follow from there. That's what I'm going to say today. That's where I'm leaving it. What do you think?
Excellent. It is great advice. Been another great topic. Ryan, any closing thoughts from yourself?
No, I'm good this week.
I wasn't even going for the joke there. Then we've wrapped it up as well. Some good. And I really appreciate, Joe. It's a great question. Ryan, some great reflection from yourself there, which is brilliant, especially, looking back at you when we were doing this podcast, and then how you are now as well. It's really, really good. So I appreciate all that input. He's not finished.
No, because we're getting questions on Instagram. This might be a new thing we've got to do on Instagram. So there's been another question on the Instagram, #INJoggers from Donk Balls. Is there any IN Joggers, Lee, on the site?
Oh, there isn't at the moment. There are, probably won't be the right fit. There are some leggings over there, but not some joggers. But I'll look into that. Absolutely. If there is a market to slap our logo on it, we will make it.
All right. So look forward to the joggers. That was the next question. So I've got used to this Instagram, Lucky, because there's like a little question box and it looks a little bit red. So I'll press on it from time to time. If you want to ask questions, just pop it in there. So no more questions so far, Lee. So I'm going to let you wrap up if you want, my friend.
Thanks very much. And we genuinely appreciate everybody for downloading, listening, joining us live. Again, Instagram and Twitch. Just check out Joe's Instagram. What is your Instagram handle, Joe?
Jose Noya-Inspiration.
There you go. Just stick it into that search engine. You can join us live there, and Twitch. Just look for Inspiration Nation podcast. 8:30 every Tuesday UK time, 3:30 PM Eastern time in the United States. Of course, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, also on YouTube as well. Just check us out there. Hit the subscribe button if you like what you are hearing. Join us on social media. Again, Joe, Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation. He is on all the platforms all of the time. Give him a follow. Fantastic daily content there. The show, we are at Listen to IN, Listen TOIN. We appreciate all the interaction as well and support for the show. We will be back again next week. I think it is just for me to count us down now. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys later.
I hope you enjoyed that video. Be like water, be adaptable. What a great conversation between Lee, Ryan and myself. I hope you got a lot of inspiration from that. So don't forget, check out all our other inspirational podcast episodes right here. And don't forget to subscribe, because that will mean a lot to me. And also hit the bell so you know when another Inspiration Nation podcast episode goes live here on YouTube. So don't forget, go listen, go watch. Been watching Inspiration Nation, and I'll see you over there.